All right, let's jump into this deep dive. Today, we're talking about attraction, and we've got some fascinating ideas to unpack about what truly makes someone stand out, and really capture someone's heart.
I'm really excited to dive into this with you. It's interesting how many misconceptions are out there about attraction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that really jumped out to me was this idea of putting someone on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Is that really something we need to be mindful of? Like, is that a trap?
Oh, yeah. It's a huge trap. Way more common than people think.
Yeah.
Because when we put someone on a pedestal, we kind of create this imbalance, right? We see them as like almost perfect, and that can make us, feel less confident, less worthy. And ironically, that insecurity actually makes us less attractive.
So it's
Oh.
almost like that take it or leave it mentality. Is
Yeah.
that a better approach?
Yeah. Well, it's not so much about like deliberately playing hard to get, but more about having that genuine self-assurance, right? Like if you genuinely believe that you have something valuable to offer, you don't need to chase approval. You project this confidence that's incredibly magnetic. You're not being arrogant. You're just comfortable with who you are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess it's kind of like that old saying, nice guys finish last,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
It's not about being nice. It's about being authentic and showing genuine interest.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. People can sense when you're being disingenuous, or trying too hard to please them, and it just comes off as inauthentic, and it actually undermines the attraction.
So ditch the people-pleasing and just be yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
But, what about the role of looks? I mean, let's be honest, physical attraction matters too, right?
Of course. Initial attraction often starts with those visual cues, right? You see someone, there's something about them that catches your eye, but what truly captivates someone and keeps them interested, goes way beyond the superficial. It's about that emotional intelligence, those shared values, that spark that ignites a deeper connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting. We need to embrace our inner caveman.
Right.
I got to admit, that conjures up some funny images.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued, so elaborate on that.
Think of it this way. Our ancestors, they didn't overthink things, right? They relied on instinct and that direct communication. And there's a raw honesty in that approach that can still resonate today. Yeah.
So instead of getting stuck in our heads overanalyzing everything, we should tap into that primal intuition. But how do we balance that with the complexities of, modern dating? Where do we even start? Okay, so let's dive into the practical side of things a little bit.
Yeah.
One thing that was surprising to me was the idea of using Instagram, like actually using Instagram, as a tool for making connections. Tell me more about that. Like, how does that even work?
Well, think about it. Instagram gives you this window into someone's world, right? You see their interests, their passions, their personality, kind of like a visual representation of who they are. And it goes beyond just a dating profile.
So instead of just telling someone about yourself, you're like showing them,
Exactly.
which feels a lot more genuine, right?
It does, and it provides this more natural way to connect. Like you can comment on shared interest or spark a conversation based on something they posted.
Yeah.
It just feels a lot less forced than sending a generic message on a dating app.
That's a great point. It's like you're building that connection on something real.
Exactly.
I like it. So speaking of making a connection, what about first impressions in person?
Yeah.
Any tips on how to make a strong impact when you first meet someone?
Yeah, I think confidence and clarity are key. Don't be afraid to flirt. Make it clear that you're interested. Sending mixed signals just leads to confusion.
So be direct.
Absolutely.
No playing it cool.
Yeah, be upfront about your intentions, and you'll avoid wasting time and potentially missing out on a connection.
Makes sense. Okay, so texting seems to be a big part of dating these days, right?
It is.
Any strategies for effective communication through text?
Yeah, I think the key with texting is efficiency, right? Your goal is to set up a date, not to have these like endless back and forths, right? So keep your messages concise, make your intentions clear, and try to move towards meeting in person as soon as possible.
So texting is almost like a stepping stone to an actual date.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's about sparking enough interest to move the connection offline.
Okay. So what about those initial messages? Like, how do you grab someone's attention without resorting to, like, those cheesy pickup lines?
Yeah, observation is key. Instead of relying on generic lines, pay attention to their profile, or anything unique about the situation. And comment on something specific that shows you're genuinely interested and that you see them as an individual.
So instead of just like a bland, hey, how are you?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
to be like, I noticed you love that band too. I saw them in concert last year. They were amazing.
Exactly. Now you started a conversation based on a shared interest, and you've shown that you're paying attention.
Right. Right. It's all about that authenticity, that genuine interest.
Hmm.
So we've talked about these initial connections, but let's talk about, when things start to heat up a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Uh, we touched on the importance of slowing down, especially when things start to escalate physically. Can you talk a bit more about that? Why is that so important?
I think it's all about respecting boundaries and making sure there's a mutual sense of comfort and desire, right? When you rush things, it can just create pressure and awkwardness. And honestly, that can totally kill the mood.
Right. It's like you said earlier, it's a dance, not a sprint, right?
Exactly.
You got to be in tune with the other person,
Yeah.
read their cues, and respond accordingly.
Yeah. Pay attention to their body language, their verbal cues, and just make sure everyone is feeling good and respected.
Absolutely. Okay, this is all great stuff. So we've talked a lot about, building that attraction, making that connection. But relationships, let's be real, they're not always, smooth sailing.
Right.
How do we navigate those like inevitable bumps in the road, those red flags, maybe even breakups? What's the approach there?
Yeah. Yeah. I think developing good discernment is crucial. It's really about paying attention to, how someone treats others, how they handle conflict, and their overall emotional maturity.
Mm,
Recognizing those red flags early on can really save you a lot of heartache down the line.
yeah, for sure. So watch out for those ego-driven personalities, the overly needy, the controlling types.
Exactly. Those are often signs that a healthy relationship, might be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, yeah, I hear that. And it's also important, like you said earlier, right, to remember that a healthy relationship needs a strong sense of self-worth from both partners.
Yes, absolutely.
And you mentioned something called the boyfriend paradox.
Yes.
What is that exactly? I'm not familiar with that.
It's this idea that, while you want to be in a relationship, you shouldn't become dependent on it for your sense of self-worth, right? Clinging to a partner for validation can actually make you less attractive.
So but maintaining your own interests, your own life, outside of the relationship
Exactly.
is important.
Yeah, you should be a complete individual who chooses to share their life with another complete individual. That's the recipe for a truly dynamic and lasting connection.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that ties into the importance of boundaries, right?
Absolutely. Boundaries are essential for a healthy relationship. Be clear about your needs, your expectations from the start, and communicate them openly and honestly.
And if those boundaries aren't respected, it's okay to,
Walk away.
walk away. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Self-respect is paramount, When you value yourself, you attract partners who will value you as well.
That's so powerful. Okay, so what about handling breakups? I mean, it's bound to happen at some point in the dating journey. How can we approach those experiences with, grace and resilience?
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that rejection is just a part of life, especially in the world of dating, right? It doesn't diminish your worth or your value. It's really about reframing breakups as opportunities for growth and learning.
So instead of dwelling on what went wrong, we should focus on like the lessons learned and look forward to what the future holds.
Exactly. Every ending is a new beginning, right? It's a chance to reflect, to grow, and to open yourself up to something even better.
I love that. Wow, this deep dive has been incredibly insightful. We've explored so many fascinating ideas about attraction, from embracing our inner caveman to the importance of boundaries and self-respect. I feel like we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to delve into these topics with you. I think, ultimately it's about finding that balance between instinct and intentionality, confidence and authenticity.
It really seems like the key to attracting a partner isn't about like tricks or techniques, but about cultivating that deep sense of self-trust. How might that, transform your approach to dating and relationships? Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and until next time, keep diving deeper.
Yeah.